Good morning, everybody. Sorry for being 2 minutes late. I had to put in that claymation thing. Literally did it just now. Not made it. Mr. Duncan over at Sprinkle Donut Forge made that, and I just thought to toss it in. Um, so hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I got to do my first ins. Yeah, everybody fights to get in first. Trail Dust in first. Steve Parsons, John Burnell, Alexis Sullivan, Transcendental Artist Studios, Jack Pines, how you doing? Shane Lalone. That's you guys talking about oxyacetylene. Metal Bloobs says he can't make it. Oh. Yep. That's Paul Orchard's in, and Robert Whitney, Speargrass, and Tomes. uh, what is up, everybody? How's everybody doing? Good, I hope. Yeah. So, how was your weeks? Kind of forgetting where to start at Scramble for the Claymation. So, Alexis, how was your week?
My week was fantastic. I think, was it? Maybe, maybe not.
Tough to
Um,
say.
Mostly, it was mostly all right. No, I mean, like I had what do you call it? Nobody wants to hear about that stuff,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm gonna talk about it anyways. No, I mean to a limited extent. I mean, yeah, no, I had a little issue where I was a couple days late on some medication, like all of it, and it kind of triggered an episode in my brain, and I became emotionally unstable for a couple days, and then I realized, oh, I haven't been taking my antidepressants and stuff, and yeah, that was fun. Let me tell you.
You know,
Other
pills
than
here.
that, I had a pretty busy week at work, and I don't know. Um, I know. I forgot what I was going to say after that. So, yeah, that's basically it, I guess.
Just
Um, I didn't do anything productive at all. The weather was like super nice in the 80s, and then all of a sudden, bam! Wake up and the high is 37 for the day, and I'm like, wait, what happened?
right.
And that was yesterday and the day before, and then today. I mean, it's like right now it's all foggy outside and moist and like 41 degrees, and the high today is going to be 80, and then the rest of the week's back in the 70s. And I'm like, where did this like 2 day winter come from?
Right. Yeah, I know it's a cheap shot and just filler to talk about the weather, but dang, weather been weird lately, you know. I'm right there with you. It's like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I was in shorts and t-shirt and just out, no jacket, and it was like I think 85 was our high, and it was like just beautiful, light breezy, sunshiny, and just I got a lot of outdoor work done at work, and it was just like, this is nice. I'm ready for this. And then like Friday evening or like Friday afternoon, as I was getting off of work, it's almost as if while I was working, the cold front came in. I stepped out the house I was working at to pack up and leave, and it was just like, oh, I should have brought a coat. Why am I wearing shorts? And then back to today, 40s. But yeah, you said you were busy at work.
It wasn't too bad.
Uh,
I'd like to say, Robert Lonis, happy birthday yesterday, by the way.
mm,
Well, I remembered that.
Hippity
And like,
hoppity happity birthday.
and like I said on the face crack, if it is indeed your birthday, I mean, because you could just like every day go in there and just like reset it to another day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my again.
But yeah, my week, it also was busy with work. I mean, my boss was like, we were all chit chatting around after work, and it's like, talking about like, oh, it's like looks like we're going to be having a slow period, but like the next day it's like, no, no, never mind. We turned down a large job because we're too busy for it. It's a 8 bedroom, 8 bathroom, mega like 4-story house down on the beach that's being built, and like they requested us do it, and it's like, Me and Jeannie. It's like I don't know about that. And but it's like, if we do it, let's do it. And we ended up turning down the job because we got two other houses we're working on, an office build out. Um, uh, and it's just, we're slammed. We haven't, you know, when we're this slammed, this is one of the reasons why I haven't been out in the forge a lot. When we're this slammed at work, because I have a pretty physically demanding job, I need another pillow because I'm short. Because I have a pretty physically demanding job. Sorry. I tend to like hold back from the forging so that I don't kill my arms and shoulders for my day job. You know, I once I don't have a day job, I'm gonna be out there all the time. you know,
No,
and
no, you'll still be sitting in there on the computer moderating chats.
no, I'll be splitting my time from the internet and the forge because once I don't have a day job, that means that I don't need the money, and that means that I'll have the money, and that means that I'll have all sorts of new toys in the shop to play with, like the CNC machines and you know air tools and presses, and I'll be like, I'm gonna build the world. Yeah, future plans, but yeah, it's busy work week, just knocking out some of these houses, knocking out some of these individual jobs. I could bore y'all with the electrical stuff, but you know, let's do that.
So today's topic is viewer's choice, and and it's not like we're lazy or anything, because I mean, like we literally discussed this last night, and we tossed around ideas and ideas and ideas. It's like,
no,
well,
no, yeah.
and some of it, like some of the things, the great ideas that we had, it's like, well, we don't know anything about that. I mean, like we don't have any experience with that, and so we decided to shelve that until we could speak from personal experience on some of these things. And I suggest, well, what if we do like a viewer's choice type thing? Let's get the chat going, get our introductions out of the way, and we can do a thing where it's like, okay, if you got an idea, it's something you want us to talk about, put it up in there. If something really pops, like, oh, hey, that's a great idea, we'll go with that. Or if we get a few good ones, we'll put up a poll for about 10 minutes and let you guys vote on one. So,
Speaking of which,
uh,
I'm going to start that poll. And first on the list, I saw people talking earlier in the chat before we actually opened, was oxyacetylene versus oxypropane. So I'm going to put that on the list. And yeah, yeah, keep talking.
yeah, and so what do you think? I mean, propane versus acetylene, there's a good one there. And then, oh, we could also talk about the fact that John has not touched his quad state project all week, and and it's like, I don't know how he's still surviving and having not spent a week on it. But bacon, forging bacon. Hey, did anybody else see that video where the guy takes the red hot rod that's got a taper on it and sticks a hot dog over it, and then just like reaches out there, grabs it with a bun and pulls it off? And I'm like, the title of it was like how blacksmiths barbecue or cook or something like that. And I saw that and I thought, man, there's got to be a lot of scale on the inside of that hot dog. Uh,
You talk them out. You read the chat, talk them out, and I will type them in. So far, I've got
all right.
oxyacetylene versus oxypropane, forging bacon, John Burnell being lazy.
Bacon grease for quench oil. Aluminum is the best metal to forge.
Hold on. Bacon, grease for oil. All right, can only add 4. Dang it. I'm going to add that to the bacon grease will go into forging bacon. So one more.
Okay.
One more good one.
It's a blacksmith seasoning, not scale. Actually, Ben, I have tried it. So, We need one more thing to throw in the poll.
I
Come
can't
on, people.
I can't read the chat while I'm creating a
No,
poll.
no,
So
I know, I got you. I'm just waiting. Forge design, square versus round.
okay, we're gonna go with that.
Yep, there's our four choices for the poll. Thank you, Matthew.
Okay, and ask your community, and that'll pop in, and then we will kind of chit chat and answer any questions AMA style from the chat, and give this about 10-15 minutes to fill up, and uh, so yeah. Um,
Hmm.
Explain the workings of a 17th century Spanish dueling pistol. Well, from what I understand about the 17th century is they were actually way ahead of their time, and they actually used laser optics to ignite their gunpowder. So it was like this mix of uh, future technology and Victorian era technology that actually made it work. And no, I don't know anything what I'm talking about. Just ignore that whole bit. Editor, cut that out.
Yeah, sure. Well, now I got a timestamp on it, so I'll hear that and go like, wait, what was that?
um,
I'll leave that in and just edit out you saying, editor, cut that out.
yeah, right. What's up, Inconvenient Skills? Just popping in to say hi. I have a lot of those inconvenient skills, not popping ins. Um,
Well, to be fair, you call it skills.
yeah, yeah. Let me see. Um, just reading through the chat. Bacon grease. Oh, aliens. Yes, aliens. I'll talk aliens. So last night I was out, in my front yard, and a big light shone down from above, and uh, this sort of like roundish square ship landed in front of me, and a bunch of guys in suits grabbed me and put me in it, and then I woke up. Alien blacksmithing. That would be a fun topic. Speculating about like blacksmithing on, like in an alien civilization that, possibly has different materials than us. um, yes. Where is the poll? The poll is at the top of the chat. I don't know what it looks like for you guys, but if you click on the little blue thing, it'll pop down and you can select an option.
Oh.
But yeah,
Yeah,
so what?
Robert Luna said at his physical this year, he was strangely enough, he was low on iron. I got mine Tuesday is when I go for my annual. That's gonna be fun because my doctor quit or relocated, or I don't know. Like as of December 31st, he no longer worked there. So I had to find a new one. So Tuesday is my establishment of care with the new guy. So that's always fun.
Right. Hmm. We'll give the poll. I want to say. I mean, we got 13 out of 14 votes here. So, waiting much longer. Everybody voted except for one
Yeah,
person.
let's
Who's the
call it.
person that didn't vote? Probably the same person that didn't click the like button. you know.
Well, two people because I clicked the like button on two accounts and the other one's not on right now. So
Oh. Um. Poll only shows 3 choices. I'm seeing 4. So far, we've got 46% of you would like to watch or hear us talk about oxyacetylene versus oxypropane. 15% of you want to talk about forging bacon. 75% of you want to talk about John Burnell being lazy, and 31% of you want to talk about square versus round forges. Now, my math may be off because I may have skewed the chat or skewed the charts, but I mean, if it worked for Enron, it works for me. But um, let me see. Oh, that was you that didn't click the vote, but you voted. But wait. All right. Well, 13 viewers, 13 votes. We'll go ahead and call it there. The winner by a toenail is oxyacetylene versus oxypropane. That is what we will discuss now. Fun topic, and we did while you guys were talking about this in the pre-show, we were kind of discussing it, so it's going to be kind of interesting. So yeah, oxyacetylene versus oxypropane. For those of you guys listening in the, or those of you guys who don't know, oxyacetylene is a mix, or oxyacetylene slash oxypropane is a mix of two gases used for heating and or cutting metal. Oxygen gas and acetylene gas, using special tools and stuff to mix it and creating a super hot flame with various tips for various uses. And oxypropane is the same exact thing, but swapping out propane instead of acetylene. And, there are a myriad of differences for the two options. And yeah, the chat's going crazy. Yep, propane is cleaner, but not nearly as hot. And as I understand it, one of the big deciding factors of which one you would go for is what's available to you. I mean, propane is pretty much available everywhere, and where finding an air gas facility or an AmeriGas facility that does carry and sell or refill acetylene bottles, it's nowhere near as widespread as propane. I mean, geez, Hank Hill sells propane and propane accessories. They're even in our cartoons.
Okay, just off of my my personal experience here. Boy, I had a buddy that lived around the corner from me growing up, and he had he used he had an oxyacetylene. I mean, yeah, oxyacetylene on his welder. He had a welding trailer, like it's got a welder, all the tools and stuff, and he did mobile welding work. And then at home he had oxypropane set up, and the way he explained it to me when I was like 16 is basically that that with oxyacetylene and number 4 bottles, acetylene and propane, and number 4 oxygen bottles, you'll burn through about 5 oxygen bottles to an acetylene bottle, or you'll burn through 2 oxygen bottles to a propane bottle. So you know what I mean. So you wind that's generalized terms. I mean, and it varies if you're doing welding or just strictly cutting. In this case here, he was doing strictly cutting. So he didn't do any for the most part. Didn't do much like work with a rosebud or a welding tip.
Mm-hmm.
And so the acetylene tends to run a little bit more efficiently, I guess. That's the way I take it, and I've used both. And the only real issue I ever had with running oxypropane is just you spend a little bit longer getting a piece hot before it'll pierce, But other than that, uh, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Unless you're cutting really thick stuff. If you're cutting really thick stuff, it's with propane. Eventually, you're going to be like, oh God, I wish I had acetylene. But other than that, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I got some actual information on it too. So the biggest differences on between propane and acetylene is the flame temperature. Um, use your words. Propane mixed with oxygen generates a flame temperature of 2,800 degrees Celsius. However, acetylene mixed with oxygen produces a flame temperature of 3,100 degrees Celsius. High flame temperature and excellent flame impingement characteristics of acetylene and makes it easier for cutting the rounded edges of any metal. The hotter flame temperature allows quick piercing through materials. What the heck is that?
It sounds like a disconnect reconnect on a USB drive or USB port.
That's exactly what it was.
I know my pooters.
Yeah, uh, acetylene. Okay, the thermal output as well. Acetylene and propane are also differentiated based on their thermal outputs. The British thermal unit value of acetylene is 1,470 BTUs per cubic foot, whereas propane has a BTU value of 2,498 per cubic foot. And even if acetylene has a higher flame temperature than propane, it doesn't mean that the latter produces any less heat. Although oxyacetylene combination assures faster preheating than propane, most of the preheating and welding is performed with propane oxygen. This is because propane is cheaper and capable of producing a high amount of heat necessary for preheat. And that's basically the technical jargon on the differences between oxyacetylene and oxypropane. And now, I mean, I'm sure everybody in this chat has a preference,
Yeah,
and you know, if you want to just chime in with why do you prefer one over the other,
yeah.
um, write it down and we'll respond in kind.
Well,
Me personally, I prefer oxyacetylene. Because I mean, at the end of the day, for me, cost isn't really a factor. I mean, if it cost me $24 to fill, I don't know the numbers, $24 to fill a propane bottle or 32 to fill an acetylene bottle, I really don't care. And obviously, those numbers are not correct, but
no.
it cost me $20 to fill a 20-pound can. So, um,
Yeah. I
so
will
go ahead.
say I've got oxyacetylene simply because okay, neat little story about why I got an oxyacetylene kit. It was like 3 years ago at Quad State. Um, a subscriber actually of the show walked up to me who watches my videos. Says, hey, you're Island Metal Forge. You've been mentioning you need a oxyacetylene tank. I got some right here, and I'm like, oh yeah, I was looking at it, and it was a tank and hoses and or tanks and hoses, a big tall tanks, and I'm like, yeah, how much you want for it? And he goes, it's free, and then he went into, he drove his truck over and put the stuff in my truck, and I'm like, got it, and he, it's like, no, you spread the, spread the good word and the good vibes and whatnot, and went in on all of that, and I was like, well, thank you, and uh, so yeah, that's why I had the oxyacetylene. I didn't even know at the time a place that sold acetylene by me, and because I was debating this exact thing, propane versus acetylene, because I know I can get propane anywhere. But it's like part of the reason I was really trying to find acetylene was because, like Alexa said, the heat. I wanted something, I wanted the highest possible output so that I'm not limited. I had also read something, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong in this, in that for welding, the propane, the byproduct of burning propane inhibits welds, or something along those lines, like something to do with, the oxygen propane mix being more difficult to weld with. And one of the big reasons that I wanted an oxyacetylene setup was so that I can do, flame welding like that. And as you guys saw with my jellyfish, I utilize that a lot. But yeah, so I got the tanks here and brought them up to a place called Dixie's Auto, which coincidentally does not do auto work. They basically sell oxyacetylene and various cutting torches and stuff, like that's what they do. Um, but yeah, they said, "Up, yep, both of these bottles suck. You got to replace them." And so ended up they cut me a deal, said, all right, we'll just treat it as a refill instead of, making you buy whole new bottles. And, swapped out the bottles with bottles that were good. And, boom. And I think it's like each time I go do it, it's around $200 to swap both bottles. Like I said, they're big bottles. But, I love it. And, as I understand it, if I were to get a propane setup for my oxy mix cutting, I would have to get all new equipment, because it's got a wider bore for a larger diameter bore for the propane. Am I right?
Yeah. So the tips. So if you running oxy acetylene rig and you can just throw a propane can right on it. Um, It'll cut not as efficiently as it should, though. You really should swap out and get a propane tip. And obviously, if you're going to swap for a propane tip, you probably got to have something like a Victor Gentleman, because they come with you can just run down to the local welding supply store and they've got different tips for everything that fit those ones. The smaller, cheaper ones, not so much. But if you get the right tip, it really saves you a lot of propane. I'm not really sure why, and I don't know if the bores on those are bigger or smaller. I don't recall. It has been
I
a
believe it's
long time
larger.
since I've messed with them.
I believe it's
Um,
larger because I always hear people talking about converting acetylene tips to propane tips by drilling out the tip. So that would tell me it's larger. You know,
which one are you drilling? Are you drilling out the
C-
oxygen
c-
hole in the middle, or are you drilling out the propane holes around the or acetylene holes around the outside of the tip? I mean, so which
th-
one do you need more of? Do you need more oxygen or do you need more propane? I don't really
that's
know.
that's a very good question, and now I don't know the answer. maybe the chat will know. Let's go to the chat. Sorry, I got real close to the mic right there.
Yeah, that and I was just scrolling back up in the chat to see what was up in there. Somebody mentioned something about oxyhydrogen, and I
Oh,
find
good
that to be
lord.
absolutely terrifying.
Let's
That
do
has
it.
got to be no,
Yeah,
no. I mean, like hydrogen and oxygen burning is a bomb. I mean, like I've done that where you just take two oxygen two water balloons filled with oxygen and one filled with hydrogen, put them in a Ziploc bag, pop all three balloons with a needle, and then just like put a match on the end of a stick, light it in the campfire, and then touch it to that plastic bag. And I mean, it sounds like, I mean, it's a kaboom, a big kaboom, and that's just three water balloons, one little water balloon of hydrogen. There is no way you could con- convince me to get anywhere near a tank of compressed hydrogen. Mm-mm, That is really, really scary to me. Scary stuff. So, and
yeah.
me, I'll mess with all kinds of stuff that people freak out about. I'll reach into tubs of acid to pull stuff out, and doesn't bother me at all because I know what the heck I'm doing, and I know that it's not going to hurt me. But and various other things, even like messing with nitric acid, and watching, put something in there and watching the brown fumes just roll off of it, and I'm just like, yeah, let me just take a step back. You know, technically you should be wearing like a respirator and stuff, because the nitrogen oxide, not real good for you. But you can, from the way I look at it, is like, well, I can see the brown gas as long as it's not coming at my face, I'm okay.
That's what she said. Oxy and hydrogen is to the moon. Yeah. Yeah. John Brunel says oxyhydrogen was cleaner and used pretty much till the invention of TIG. Um,
Yeah, I mean, oxyhydrogen, the byproduct is water. So yeah, or water
huh.
vapor specifically. But
Huh.
you didn't know that?
So I can make my own water and not have to pay for it?
Uh,
Because,
yeah, the hydrogen and oxygen are considerably more expensive. It costs a fortune to split water.
but no, if you create water, then, like if you create H2O, then you can create oxygen and hydrogen, and it's perpetual energy. No.
No, because the electricity. Well, I mean, you could do it with solar, I guess, but I mean, it's not perpetual because you still have to add in the amperage required to split water is pretty high. Um, and then obviously one electrode produces the hydrogen will bubble off of, and one electrode the oxygen will bubble off of, whatever. You can capture them both and then burn them, and yes, it creates water vapor. So you get the water right back. The only input that you get the heat out, but yeah, say the only input is that electricity. So the electricity is the energy that is put into or that is expended as heat when you burn the hydrogen and oxygen to make water again.
But wait. So if all right. So let me get this straight. And I love how we went on this tangent off of oxyacetylene. All right. So you have a hydrogen cell making hydrogen and oxygen gas, right? And then you burn that to create water. Use that heat from burning that to power a to power the system to keep the electricity going, and then the water from that byproduct keeps the fuel cell refilling, and it just boom. Now, I don't know anything about conservation of energy or nothing.
That totally violates the laws of thermodynamics because
Like you do.
you're going to lose so much of that heat that I mean it's very quickly going to go. But like I said, I mean, and that's like one of the ways they're going to on Mars that they'll do heat and what do you call it? Fuel is going to be splitting water into its components
Yeah.
because we know there's ice there now. It's not like pure ice like what we have. Like it would be they're mostly peroxide ices and stuff like that are really heavy salty water frozen stuff. But it can be separated into hydrogen and oxygen and then burned to get back. Well,
Inconceivable.
could do that, but it's also just as easy to have a fuel depot, where you're shipping it from Earth, and you got a Starship fuel tanker in orbit, But eventually, though, for them to be self-sustaining, they'll have to the civilization on Mars will have to create their own fuel. I wanted to mention Jack Pines mentioned having the oh, that just reset me all the way to the bottom of the chat. Jack Pines mentioned having the small like portable oxygen acetylene rig from Walmart,
Yeah.
and he ran oxygen too fast. Oh my goodness, you're not kidding. I bought one of those probably 20 years ago, and I was so mad when I was like, because I had to have it because I had to cut something, and I didn't have a torch, and I didn't have access to a torch. Like nobody I knew had one, so I bought it, and I got like halfway through my project, and I'd already burned through 2 oxygen bottles, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, like they lasted like 7 minutes. I was like, this sucks.
Yeah, you couldn't cut through a salmon in 7 minutes with an oxyacetylene torch that small, or a tank that small. I guess we got a disclaimer sort of thing because I don't think we've said it out loud. And John Burnell's been like having an aneurysm in the chat about it. Not drilling, not drilling the holes in the tips because propane cutting tips are 2 pieces, an inside brass piece and a copper sleeve, and etc. Yada yada, science stuff. So drilling out the tips would not work. So
Okay.
yeah, just I wanted to read that out loud so that anybody listening that's not reading the chat would know that
Yeah.
you
And
know
Robert Whitney also added no drilling. The tips are a different design. So.
yes, okay. And Ben works for the city water department, and he's going to get them to convert to creating water using hydrogen fuel cells. Solving world thirst here on Impractical Blacksmiths.
Jack Pine says, "Who said oxyhydro needs to burn to cut?" Well, I guess you really don't even need the oxy there because a hydraulic cutting rig wouldn't that be just a water jet? So you got water and sand, God, I want a water jet so bad.
Soon. Soon.
Wow, I mean, like water jet, dude. I mean, you can cut rocks with it. You can cut anything. I mean, like I want one so bad,
I know.
mainly so I can cut rocks because
Mainly to cut rocks. Watch the water jet channel.
I mean, I've got a tile saw that I use to cut rocks right now. You know, obviously with the diamond, the recirculating water and the diamond blade, but I can only cut rocks up to like 3 or 4 inches thick, and that's all the blade I've got available. So
Right. Right. 23 years, you think somebody would listen to me? Nah, nobody listens to you, Ben. Because you don't look like you're 23 years old. You know, you look like you're 12. 12-year-old goat. Actually, oxygen supports its own combustion once it's lit. Look at oxy lances and exothermic cutting torches. That's what I should get. An oxygen lance. Yeah. There we go.
oxygen does well. Oxygen is an oxidizer. It's not a fuel, so I don't know. I'll have to look into that. Exothermic cutting torches. All torches are exothermic. If it were endothermic, it would get cold. Just saying, that's what it means. Like an endothermic reaction means it sucks the heat out of everything, and everything and it gets cold. Like, and there are certain chemical reactions where you drop something into a beaker of water or a glass of water, and you stir it up, and you grab, and you can like literally feel it getting colder and colder and colder. That's an endothermic reaction because it's taking the heat out of the water to perpetuate the reaction. And anything that gets hotter when the chemical reaction is happening is an exothermic reaction.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you all. I'll tell you. You know, Ben's like, I need to get a laser cutter just so that they can say laser. Oh yeah. One day I'll have. Huh?
That'll look cool.
Yeah. One day I'll have all the toys on this channel. And when, huh?
Oh, trail duds. I think lightsaber.
Lightsaber. Oh, I've seen there's a YouTuber out there. I want to say it was Hacksmith, but it may have been inspired by the Hacksmith design. But they built a plasma. No, it wasn't plasma. They built a working lightsaber. You know, and lightsaber in the sense that it was a variable blade created of purely fire, you know, and it was cool watching them use it. Like it was basically a modified oxyacetylene setup, or I say oxyacetylene, but it may be something else. I can't remember exactly, but they set it up like a backpack rig, you know, where it held all the valves and everything, and then the hoses ran to to the tanks, and it had like they and then a valve to adjust the flame length, and it was like whoa, and they took and they tested it. They were cutting through metal sheet with it, you know, and it's like, well, yeah, it's basically oxyacetylene. Of course it'll cut through steel, you know, and they're like, huh?
So this exothermic torch thing that John Burnell's talking about, that's pretty dang cool. The system operates on oxygen alone. The rod is ignited by a spark from a battery or a welder. The oxygen reacts with the fuel rods to create a burning reaction hot enough to burn through almost any material. The oxygen jet then blows the molten material away. That's pretty cool.
What's the price tag on that?
Ranging from $669.99 to about $2,000.
So affordable.
Yeah, I mean, depending.
I need to get my truck fixed first. You know, my I think I'm about halfway there in my fix my truck fund right now. So yeah, there's that. What's up, Mr. Pekka? Boar, how you doing? But yeah, so I think before I start getting these exothermic lances, oxygen lances, get my truck fixed. I actually am going to take my truck out for a test drive today to see how my battery load is holding up. I have yet to test the alternator. I know. Wah, wah, wah. Sorry. I inhaled too sharply and, you know, a loose hair from my mustache went into the back of my throat. Sorry about that.
So glad I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Right. I need to get my truck fixed right here. But yeah, so yeah, you know, a lot of things that you can do with different tips on oxyacetylene. Trying to like grab the rope and pull the topic back. You know, like with the different tips, you've got, you know, the rosebud tip, which, you know, general heating. What are you laughing at me for?
I'm laughing at Ben Toombs saying that you need to get that tattoo. I need to get my truck. Oh, that's hilarious. It's so on point.
Change your fuel filter. Yep. Yep. Pulling the topic back and then boom, sidetrack. Just call the show Sunday morning show sidetracked. Oh, y'all make my face hurt. um, but yeah, so rosebud tips. I'm sure there's somebody listening along, whether now or in the future, that's going, I need to learn about this. Talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it. But yeah, rosebud tips for general heating, you know, and which is great for. That's going to come in handy when, for example, when I'm doing the octopus. I'm basically gonna, you know, vice grip or you know, put the octopus body in a vice and use my oxyacetylene with a rosebud tip to heat up areas while I bend the arms into shapes. So that's a perfect example of a use for a rosebud tip. Then you've got your cutting tips, which is basically I don't know how to describe it. You set the mixture of oxygen and acetylene so that it creates like a superheated little lance, and then it's got a little lever on it, and that's what you use once you preheat without it. Then you know increases the flow of oxygen and you know basically blows a hole through the steel, and then that's what you're doing. You're basically you know turning the steel into molten and using oxygen to just blow the splatter away. You know, so there's that, and then of course you have a welding tip, which is you know basically the the cutting tip, but without the extra blast of oxygen, and all the different points on those. And I like using those. I have so much fun oxy welding. Toss on the goggles and sit there and just watch. It's so beautiful, and it's. I wish I could get it on camera and do a video just on oxy welding or oxy acetylene welding and gas and torch welding and all that stuff, because it's so mesmerizing to sit there and watch the pieces heat up and then turn molten, and then like the two little puddles go poop, and then you you know pull the gas away and it's one piece of metal now. Oh, it's so fun. Yeah. Jeff Killian throwing another rope out there to pull me to a different topic. All right, not to change the subject, but I have a question about acid etching. I have very little knowledge on this. in a nutshell, you basically use acid to etch. No, the science behind it would be a Alex question, um, but yeah, for etching a design into something or just general acid etching. It's oh, for wrought iron, etching the wrought iron. Um, you know what? I believe it eats away why wrought iron gets a um what's it called, like a wood grain look. I'm not entirely sure on the science behind it, but from what I understand, and I may be way wrong with this, it is basically eating away the less refined, I guess, like the slag and the crud between the layers of the wrought iron. Because, the wrought iron being folded, and you have all that impurities and whatnot being, pushed into it. Um, and I guess that eats it away and leaves that like wood grain texture. Like when you deep etch it like I do. Um, how accurate would that be, Alex?
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Oh, the science behind acid etching wrought iron.
Um, it's no different than etching anything else, really.
Well, yeah, but like why it etches and whatnot. Like what's going on with the acid and the steel.
I really don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I just know. Oh, Jeff Killian is just getting graying. He's trying to get it, and when he goes into an acid etch, he's just getting the metal gray.
That's the acid is either too strong or not strong enough. Because if your acid is too strong, it very quickly creates an oxide layer on the outside of the material that the acid can no longer penetrate. And I mean that's why like you can't etch iron or you can't etch what do you call it, Damascus. You can't etch that in nitric acid because it immediately forms an oxide layer that's impenetrable. I mean, you stick it in there and it just comes out, and you're like, huh, what happened there? But if you stick a penny down in there, that sucker dissolves in seconds. Um, Now, but obviously we've etched iron in, ferric chloride, muriatic acid, vinegar, stuff like that. They're all much weaker acids that very slowly work on the metal. And so, yeah, it's got, if you're just getting graying, it's got to be either too strong or too weak. And I don't know what acid you're using, so I can't really say.
Yeah. One way I would think the test would be to take um, a sample of your acid, take a couple of ounces of the acid and a chunk of the metal that you're trying to etch, um, and dilute that little sample with distilled water, and then try that. And if you get if it's still happening, take that same sample and dilute it a little bit. Basically, go the easy route of making it weaker and seeing if that does anything. If not, then you got to make it stronger. And yeah, that I think is a little bit more difficult, depending on the type of acid.
So, and John was saying years ago he was cutting a 20-inch thick section with an oxy lens, and we had to light it with a normal torch, then just shut it off and cut it with straight oxy. Now, in that respect, the oxygen is coming in with something that is hot enough that basically you're cutting with thermite. And so, if you're cutting steel with that, it's basically thermite cutting. I mean, because that's what thermite is burning steel or iron, not necessarily steel, burning iron. And so yeah, that would do it. That's pretty darn hot stuff. So,
The more
and,
you know.
and cutting other materials with one of those neat little oxygen torches, whatever. Um, Yeah, that's kind of, I think that's kind of the idea. Is it is very quickly oxidizing the material you are cutting, and you can, almost any material is going to have something that will oxidize at high enough heat, and so yeah, that I want one now.
I know, right? Add it to the list.
You're on the list.
Yep. Yep. I gave you $1 million the other day, didn't I? Oh, we should be set for that in a few years.
Oddly enough, the vinegar, the strong vinegar that I have is 30%. That is stronger than muriatic acid. So my muriatic acid is 5%, and vinegar, yeah, 30%. 30% vinegar is woo.
I wonder if you can clear out dental fillings by using muriatic acid as a mouthwash. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm only joking. Don't do that. Disclaimer. Don't do that. Yamas is only joking. Don't clip that. Don't share that. Don't do that.
Oh, I was just like, oh. And Paul Archer brought up cleaning vinegar, and cleaning vinegar is 6% versus 5%. Not a lot of difference, but I do use cleaning vinegar, the 6% stuff, for cleaning my copper.
Hey, Xavier. Exactly, Donut. Exactly.
That's what I'm working on.
Right? Same here. I can't wait. Knock all my teeth out and get some good old fake chompers. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll get the inflatable set, where they're not there and then you push a button and it goes, fills them up. That doesn't exist. I'm just loopy.
Have them on what do you call it? Actuator, so they like go up inside, and then you can just touch the side of your neck, and they all go.
Yeah. Right? I mean, I'll have the money. While you're in there, do something about my cheekbones.
Plushy teeth.
Plushy teeth. I have a plushy anvil. Talking about hard things soft.
Not gonna touch that with a 10-foot pole.
That's what she said. Yeah, I got a plushy hammer and a plushy anvil. Ugh. Yep.
Xavier.
So I can do from the couch blacksmithing. Inflatable anvils would be awesome.
And Jack says they were talking about your plushies yesterday on the live stream.
Nice. I'm sorry I missed it. I will be 100% honest. I was doing a stay away from people day yesterday.
Yeah, I was working out in the middle of nowhere. I left at 4 in the morning, and I was still an hour and a half late getting to location. I had to be there at 7, and yeah, that they're all calling me, "Where you at? Where you at?" And I'm like, I'm getting close. I didn't realize it was 15 miles of really rough dirt road. I just saw where I get off at the pavement at, and I was like, oh, okay, that takes me this long to get there. And I remember where I put the rig before, because I was like, oh, okay, it's only like 2 miles in. Oh no, they went in 15 more. So it's like, oh no, I'm gonna be late. And I was late.
Yeah. Morning, necktie.
I got 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon, 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, so it wasn't too awful bad.
Right.
Went there, threw everything together right quick, and came back. But I did miss the Jack's live stream. I was kind of mad about that when I got out of the truck and I saw the notification. I was like, oh, dang it.
Yeah, I had my phone on silent all day. I was playing Kerbal Space Program and just having a blast. And yeah. Anyway, I will say, for a viewer's choice show, this turned out pretty dang good. Like
Oh, I had fun with it.
we had some great conversation, great topics. Learned about oxygen lances. I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to make one of those.
there you go.
Just yeah, I'll do the DIWHY, and yeah, just
Yeah,
fill up a really big balloon and then put an oxygen tip on it, and then
and the Cool Man Taylor that thing. I bought this Oxy Lance for $699, and then we modified it a little bit, give it a little bit more oomph, because it's like how much as we cut this car in half from 5 feet away. What could go wrong?
Yeah. Anyway, so fun topics today.
Jurgen Bacon was that was in
That
the poll for forging bacon was in the poll for today's
and I think what only 30% people. I don't know. I can't view that poll back again. But yeah. Um so with all that, we're going to switch over to final thoughts, and I will show the claymation video again because that was made by Mr. Duncan over at Sprinkle Donuts Forge, and it is amazing. And yeah, so we're going to end the show with that. Let that play for a little bit before I click end stream and all that fun stuff. Um, but yeah, so final thoughts. What you got for us?
Well, I don't really have a whole lot. I mean, today we talked oxyacetylene versus oxypropane, and there's no right answer. I mean, it's whatever you prefer and what's going to work best for your situation. If you can't get acetylene without having to drive 60 miles, then just get propane. I mean, that's the way to go. On the other hand, if you need the extra heat or whatever, maybe getting acetylene is worth the extra effort. I don't know. So it's the choice between one or the other is going to depend on your unique situation, because you can't sit here and say this one is definitely better than that one. They each have their strong points and they each have their drawbacks. And so choosing what is right for you sometimes might even be a matter of trial and error. If you have oxyacetylene and you're like, well, maybe I should try propane because it's cheaper or it's easier to get, and then you try it and you're like, I really don't like cutting with propane, you know. But then you wasted all that money. But hey, that happens sometimes. And I've run both, and I don't have any issue with either one. I currently have a setup for oxyacetylene, and I'm in the market to get a new torch, because I did get gauges a while back, a new set of Victor regulators, and I do need to get another torch though, because the one I have is a little bit chintzy. It's a cheap model that doesn't have really. I mean, the only tips I have are the ones that came with it in the kit, and I can't really get anything else to fit it. So I'll be in the market for a new Victor Gentleman here pretty soon. So, anyways, yeah, oxypropane, oxyacetylene. It's your choice. There's no right or wrong answer. It's what works best for you in your situation. So,
Yeah,
y'all have a great week. Get out there, light something on fire, and cut it in half, because there's nothing more satisfying than cutting things up with a torch. See y'all next week.
exactly. Yeah. And yeah, my as usual, I just want to show a huge thank you to all of you viewers, subscribers, and the channel members. Everybody. Big shout out and big thanks to my co-hosts, Alexis and Adam. And Adam's not here because he has to work. Uh, um, but yeah. So we will catch you all later. I will leave you with this claymation bit as we end our show. And fade.